Hello, friends, and welcome to Elements in Alchemy, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Johnson, sharing the astrological, lunar, and tarot influences for the week ahead of February 22nd through March 1st, 2019. We are wrapping up blueprint season, and blueprint season began roughly 3 weeks ago when we had the new moon in Aquarius. And Aquarius is the sign of what I call the sign of the blueprint. As Aquarius rules vision. It rules our highest ideals. It rules our hopes, our visions for the world, how we share our own unique creative expression and find the connections within that sharing. As the sign opposite of Leo, Aquarius is basically like Leo is it's our divine spark of expression. It's our creative expression. It's how we express ourselves in the world, what we create in the world. Aquarius being opposite of that is where we share that expression. It's who we share that expression with and the connections that we make from doing that and what larger, broader scope that we can be a part of by sharing our own unique creativity and our own unique expression. So that's where that's Aquarius. That's basically what Aquarius rules. That's what Aquarius deals in. Aquarius is also our higher consciousness. It's our higher intelligence. So it's ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is a planet of liberation and enlightenment. When we talk about enlightenment, it's we become in touch with our higher intelligence, our higher consciousness, our spirit spark. That is the spark of our spirit. That's our higher intelligence. So Aquarius, being in this blueprint season, we've really been asked to take a look at ourselves as we've been through a lot of processes. A lot of processes are coming to a head. A lot of cycles are coming to a head. We've all been through a lot of stuff over the last 9+ years or so. And we are now different people. We're now different people. We're not the same people that we were, 9 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, a week ago. In some cases, I know for myself right now, I feel like I'm a completely different person than I was like an hour ago. So we're not the same people that we were before. And we're being asked to look at ourselves. We're being asked to look at who we are now. Who it is that we are now and what it is that we want in our lives moving forward. With the ending of all of these cycles, we're getting, our individuality has been liberated. We've been finding reciprocity and who affirms our being, who affirms that creative essential spirit spark, who feeds our souls. We're getting our power back, our power to act. We're getting our will aligned with higher truth and with who it is that we are. We're aligning ourselves. And this has been that's just a snippet of some of the processes that we've been through over the course of the last 9 years. But essentially, right now, with all of that being taken into consideration, I guess, we are now, we're more empowered people. We are more empowered as individuals to act on our own behalf. And part of that acting on our own behalf now is that we now have the power to create what we want, to not be victims of circumstance within our own life. We have the power to choose now. That's what's being given to us, the power to choose, the power to co-create what it is that we want within our lives. So that's basically kind of the background of blueprint season and why we were being asked to do this. Why now? We're always, it's always on the table for us, but now as a collective group, once again, dealing with Aquarius, this is as our collective consciousness. We've all, since Uranus has been in Aries, it's unlocked our collective, each one of us collectively has had our individuality liberated. Okay, we've all had our individuality liberated. And with Chiron just leaving Pisces and moving into Aries this week, we all, for the 9 years while Chiron was in Pisces, we were all having our souls, we were all remembering the wounding of our souls, but then also transcending that wound of separation from the divine. So we transcended that feeling of separation, that wound of separation from what's divine, which allows us to remember that we are divine and we have the power to create. So we have, we're remembering, we're aligning with our divinity, our essential divinity. Okay. And then we're aligning, and then we have our individuality liberated. Okay. So this is the main 9 years of groundwork that we've been laying for this moment. So now it's like we are able to envision something bigger and more expansive for ourselves, because we are bigger and more expanded people. We're bigger and more expanded beings now. So this is kind of like, if we take Leo, Leo is the sign that's opposite of Aquarius. Leo is the performer of the zodiac. Leo is the creator. Leo is the performer of the zodiac. It's where we go out and we shine and, we do our thing. And Aquarius is the sign of where we share those things. So pretty much what's happening is we are creating a bigger stage for our newly liberated selves to create upon and to perform upon. We are creating a new set. We are getting a new cast. We are, changing people's roles. We're getting new costumes. We're maybe, changing the entire, maybe we're just changing the entire building that we're performing in. That is what we're doing right now. We are able to, set a new blueprint, a new life, a new vision for what it is that we want now that we know who it is that we are. So the beginning of blueprint season was roughly 3 weeks ago. And with the beginning of that, because that encompassed the dark moon and the new moon, and then the days after, we were being asked to really look at who we are now. Really, really look at who it is that we are. And to realize how far it is that we've come to actually understand our evolution, and look at it. Because a lot of times we get stuck in spaces where we first became aware of things and we've grown, but we don't know it. And this reminds me of a conversation I was having the other night with some friends about, I think everybody can kind of relate to this, adolescence. And it's we all as adults kind of hold some kind of vision of ourselves. We kind of always feel ourselves to be the awkward, kind of half ugly, weird, gangly, adolescent people that we were, because that was our first awareness of ourselves. And and there's always a part of us that goes through our adult lives from that state of mind, not realizing, I have transformed so much over the years. I am not this person that, where my nose was far too big for my face, or, with the messed up hair and the bad clothes and, the weird taste in music, or, whatever it was that was your thing that was really hard for you. We don't realize that we have evolved. So basically, the beginning of this moon cycle was asking us to look at how far we've come. Understand within our consciousness where we now are. And then to look around us, because now that we are different people, our circumstances and our surroundings and our interactions now need to change to reflect who we are. So that was week 1. Week 2, once we had that awareness and we were looking around, it started to become clear what needed to shift. So I called that the bittersweet week, because it was when we really began to kind of have to tell the truth about where we are and what really needs to stay and what really needs to go. Because the more that we align in our own truth, the more that we are able to meet the world outside of us in that same truth. We meet things where they are, instead of where we would like them to be. Okay. And the only way that we can change anything, once again, our blueprint, the only way that we can revise and change and create a true vision for ourselves is if we meet things in truth. Okay. That's the whole point of having a blueprint that is from a higher consciousness. Okay. It's that we are meeting things in truth, not as we would like them to be, not as we, think they should be, okay? Not as we have always imagined them to be, but where they actually are in our lives, okay? So the more that we align with that truth, then it became very, very clear what needed to shift. And that's why I call it the bittersweet week, because it's like, ooh, I'm really excited to be moving on, but at the same time, I've got to let this go. Okay, so last week was week 3 of Blueprint season, and that brought the culmination of the lunar cycle, which was the full moon. Full moon's always the culmination. And that full moon was asking us, really having us finalize. Okay, we've been through the process of understanding our evolution, and then hence understanding where we are and what our truth now is, to going from there to looking around to see what resonates and what doesn't. And mind you, all of these processes, it wasn't just like all of a sudden in a week. It's like, oh, now I'm like, it's been going on. So it was kind of like some things were a surprise, but then on other things, it was just like a confirmation of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is kind of what I figured. I've been feeling this coming. So a couple days ago, actually, because the moon was full moon was on Tuesday. So when we had Tuesday's full moon, we were asked to finalize. Okay, that's the culmination process of finalizing this blueprint. Okay, finalizing the basic structures, the basic where, the basic who, all of those things, the basic direction. Okay, just the basic scheme of our blueprint. Because once the blueprint, while the sun was in Aquarius, okay, and I said it, like I said before, Aquarius rules our vision, okay, and it comes from our higher intelligence. Once the sun being our consciousness is traveling through Aquarius. So our individual consciousness, which is the sun, is holding on to our blueprint in Aquarius, and it's taking it through our higher consciousness. And then the sun met with Uranus in Aries, and Uranus is, infusing that blueprint with our individual will, because Uranus is almost done liberating our individual wills. So that's what he's doing in Aries. So Uranus is then giving the sun like this liberation and giving our consciousness this liberation to allow the blueprint to now go into Pisces. And Pisces is the soul waters. Okay, it's where the vision now becomes a dream. Okay, and I say this all the time because once you have a vision is a static thing. Okay, a vision is a static thing. Once you put emotion behind that vision, it becomes alive. Okay, it comes alive. It has movement. It has feeling. That's when things become dreams. Okay, so when the sun, which is our individual consciousness, moves into Pisces, now the consciousness of our blueprint it's coming into dream form. Okay, so that's why it was a finalization of the basic structures of our vision in Aquarius, so that it could move into the soul waters of Pisces, okay, to become infused with life and emotion. Okay, it gets a soul. Our vision gets a soul, and then it becomes a dream. Okay, so when we had the full moon, and the full moon is always a sun and moon opposition. Oppositions they are opposing each other in the chart. They're mirroring aspects. Whenever we have a mirroring aspect, we have to figure out how to relate. Okay, so the sun and the moon are trying to figure out how to relate to each other in these signs that don't really operate in the same way. Okay, so Pisces is like the deep soul waters, and it's where we're all interconnected through the soul, and it's our dreams and it's our illusions, and it's where everything is ideal, and it's ultimate love and it's ultimate connection, and it's where it's our collective unconscious. So it's like all of the feelings and everything that we pull from to create and make beauty and nightmares and all kinds of things. That's Pisces. And then Virgo, on the opposite side where the moon is, Virgo is about manifestation, okay? Bringing what's across the way in Pisces, making things real, bringing things down to earth, materializing. That's what Virgo is about. Virgo is about embodiment, okay? And Virgo is about the details of embodiment. Okay. How do we embody? How do we embody optimally? Okay. So what happens when these two lights, the sun and the moon, are in opposition? We get a full moon. And this full moon, aside from allowing the finalization of our blueprint, was also bringing us to the point of emotionally feeling into how. Okay, we could see our blueprint across the wake. We could see our blueprint in the consciousness, in the waters of Pisces. Okay, so then we can feel it. We can feel it. All right, because the moon is about our feelings. So we're feeling our blueprint. We're feeling it come to life. Okay, we're feeling it quicken. All right, it's almost like if you've ever been pregnant, like when you first feel a baby move. It's okay. It's like, it's not quite real. It's not quite really happening until you actually feel the baby kick. And you're like, oh my, okay, this is happening. Okay, so it's kind of like a quickening. That's what they call that. It's like kind of like a quickening. And so we can feel it. We can feel it in ourselves. And then it becomes the how. How do I create this here on earth? How do I get this dream that I have to come to life here with me where I am? How do I get this to embody? So that's been the process of the culmination of the full moon at the beginning of the week. We're wondering how. That's the how. Okay, it's the how. And because Virgo is also ruled by Mercury, which is our intelligence, it's our mind, it's how we think, it's how we interact, how we communicate with each other. Okay. Mercury is also in Pisces. So we've been able to attach our minds and our hearts. It's like a heart-mind connection. So maybe not in like such a clear way, but there's something going on, the connection between our feelings and our minds. We're figuring out the how. Okay, we're figuring out the how, and it might not be clear yet, but the hows are beginning to surface for us within our minds. And it might not be in the most concrete way, because Mercury in Pisces does not operate that way. It's very intuitive. It's a feeling mind. Okay. So our intuition might be very heightened, and our feelings might be very heightened, and we are becoming more invested in the blueprint now that it's quickening and it's becoming infused with soul. It's becoming a dream now. Okay. So that's this kind of the backstory of blueprint season. And this is our final week, okay? And the final week, we're going to see the third quarter square of the moon. And on that note, let's start. So today is Friday, February 22nd, and the moon is in Libra, okay? And when the moon has moved from Virgo, where it was like how, and we're feeling into the how, and we're feeling into the structure, and we're feeling into the soul of this blueprint that we want. And mind you, like I said, this is the moon's journey, and the moon is about feelings. We're feeling all of this. All of this is feeling. Moon's in Libra today. And the moon in Libra this is going to switch modes. So we're going to go from feeling of the how to the feeling of the who. Okay? Who? All right. And it's an extension of the process that we've been through previously, because this is like the final who. Okay, this is really kind of the final who of the blueprint season. Okay, we've had, because this has been going on, this is a process. Any one of these things, they're all processes and they all play out continuously. And one ends and another one begins, but these are continuous processes. So as the moon goes around the zodiac every 28 days, it's hitting all of these points in the chart constantly. Okay. And what happens is that we get bits of intel each lunar cycle. This particular lunar cycle, now that the moon is in Libra, it's kind of it's the finalization of the who in the blueprint. Okay. Who we're looking at who. Libra is the sign of the other. Okay. I am me. You are you. So I am looking at you and relating to you. Okay, that's Libra. Libra is the other people in your life, the people that you are relating to, how you relate to not just people, but situations, circumstances, things, how you relate to what's in your life. That's Libra. Okay, so we're looking or feeling, I should say, we're feeling into what it is we're relating to, who it is that we're relating to. And Libra is also about reciprocity. Libra is about balance. Okay, we cannot have balance without reciprocity. All right, that is how things stay balanced. So we're feeling for reciprocity. We're feeling for reciprocity in our relationships. We're feeling for reciprocity in anything that we give to, anything that we are relating with. We're feeling whether or not we are getting back what we are putting in. And this is kind of the finalization of those things. So I'm saying it's the who. It doesn't necessarily have to be the who per se for people, but for anything, like if it's a job that you are pouring yourself into for not a lot of money, no kind of room for growth, then perhaps it's time to shift some things. Maybe this thing has to go now, if you can make that happen. But, anything like that, okay? If it's, like I said, a relationship and you are pouring yourself in and not getting anything back or getting like a tiny bit back, maybe it's time to change that. Friendships, like anything like that. So that's what the moon is feeling for, okay? While the moon is in Libra, it's feeling for reciprocity. So today, the moon in Libra is going to be squaring Saturn in Capricorn. Okay, moon in Libra square Saturn in Capricorn is Saturn and Capricorn are structure. Saturn actually rules Capricorn. So it's about structure. Okay, and it's about, it can be about very, very controlling structures. Okay, Saturn is also about like control. Okay, and so this could be a moment where we are realizing that, maybe we're maybe feeling a little out of control, maybe not, what's the word that I want to say? Maybe realizing that we need to take control. Okay, maybe from realizing that we are in situations that are not reciprocal. Okay, maybe understanding that we now need to take control and look at the forms, look at the structures of the things that we're relating to. That's what Saturn is asking us to do as the moon is squaring from Libra. Look at the structures of the things that you're relating to. How are they structured? Are they structured so that you are getting reciprocity? Are they structured that way? Or is this something that is disempowering to you? Or are you overpowering someone else? That's what we're looking for, okay? Are the structures that we are relating to, are they empowering or disempowering? Do we feel empowered? And are we giving over our power and then getting more empowered in return, or are we giving over our power and not getting that power back? Okay, and getting more and more disempowered. Okay, that's what that is asking. As the moon then squares Venus, okay? The moon and Venus are going to talk, and these are frictional aspects. Squares are frictional aspects. They do not feel good. Okay, they don't feel good. All right, so and it doesn't have to be like a catastrophic not feel good, but you will feel like a little bit of a rub, like you'll feel a ping. It's like it's irritation to make you act. Okay, that's what squares are. It's irritation to make you act. It's irritation to make you grow. Okay, we don't grow when we don't move. Okay, and we generally don't move if we're comfortable. So that's what squares do. Squares are like, I'm going to make you uncomfortable so you move. And then we move. So anyway, Moon in Libra squaring Venus in Capricorn. Okay, Venus rules Libra. Okay, and Venus in Capricorn. So this is kind of like it might not be that bad of a square. Okay, this particular, like, and it's all kind of happening simultaneously. So we'll probably feel it as we'll just kind of feel it all as one thing as opposed to like each individual thing. But for whatever might hit you more, I'm explaining each piece. So Venus in Libra, Venus rules Libra, but Venus in Capricorn, okay? Venus in Capricorn wants what's real. Okay, Venus in Capricorn values what is real. It wants to relate one-on-one to what is real. Okay, it does not want fake stuff. It doesn't want anything that's not tangibly in front of it. Okay, and Venus in Capricorn also values power. Okay, it values personal power. Venus is attracted to that. It's attracted to personal power in Capricorn. Okay, so what we might get while the moon is in Libra and then squaring Venus is a sense of, I just had this a second ago, shoot. What we might be getting is a sense of what it is that we're relating to. Okay, so we just moved from Saturn talking about the structure, so now we're moving into the what's. Okay, it's like, what are we relating to? Like, how it is what we're relating to, okay? Does this align with our value for what's real? Okay, are we actually getting real reciprocity? That's it. That's what I got. Are we actually getting real reciprocity? Okay, or are we getting what passes for reciprocity? Okay, what we have diluted in ourselves in our minds because we're like, oh, well, this is good enough because, we're not the same people that we were 5 years ago. So now our needs are different. Have our relationships grown and evolved to the point where we are now, where we are getting the same things back that we are giving? Because the bigger we get, the more we're able to give. Okay? All right. The more we grow, we are able to give more to everything and everyone around us. So if the circumstances and the people around us have not grown in the same way, they are not able to reciprocate in the same way. Okay, so that's what this square could be bringing up for us today. Okay, and then the moon is going to square Pluto. All right, and like I said, this could all be like kind of like a 1, 2, 3 punch where you'll just experience it as kind of like this simultaneous thing. But as the moon squares Pluto, and I've mentioned this before, it doesn't feel very good. Okay, it does not feel good at all. However, Pluto is bringing our awareness to something. Okay, and Pluto is deep, deep roots. Like, this is the root. Okay, it's the root of our power in, like, the root of Pluto in Capricorn is like the root of our personal power. Okay, it's the root of our personal power. So Pluto in Capricorn is in the square to moon in Libra, which is looking for the reciprocity. We could be feeling really, really deeply, okay, down to the roots of where we give our power away. Okay, feeling like really very deeply into what is not reciprocal and why we're allowing that. Okay, because everything always comes back to us. So we're kind of getting like, we're looking for the reciprocity while the moon's moving through Libra. And then the moon hits Saturn, the moon hits Venus, and they're like, hey, the structures, all right, Are these structures allowing for reciprocity? Are you actually getting reciprocity? Like, have you been settling for bullshit here? Like, that's not, you're giving this and you're getting this back. Like, is that right? Like, let's go over the sheets here. Like, it's looking at receipts, basically. Like, that's what's happening. Like, this square, receipts. All right. That's what that is. This square today, receipts. And now we might be feeling kind of terrible and looking at things, but we have to get to the root of that. Like, why is it? Why? You have to ask yourself why. Okay, so we're going to get to the root of that. All right, and Pluto will show us, and we'll feel it. Okay, because this is the moon, so we're feeling it. We're feeling that. And then if we acknowledge it and would like to make a change, then we are empowered. Pluto will then give us the way to empower ourselves. Okay, so that's the square, and this is like very important because our blueprint is now like in the, it's in the finalization stages and becoming a dream. We want to make sure that we are not, okay, we've just come through all of this evolution to grow. Okay, like I said, the bigger we get, the more we are able to give. All right. But if we are not if things are not reciprocal, it disempowers us and makes us feel small again. Okay. And we didn't come all this way to do that. So it's very important that we surround ourselves with things that are reciprocal for us. Okay. That's a very, very important thing. And it's something that we don't think about. All right. But the universe runs on reciprocity, all right? As above, so below, okay? That's reciprocity right there. The universe cannot be balanced without it, okay? There cannot be balance without reciprocity, so that's why I'm kind of driving this point home right now. So anyway, after this, the moon is going to sextile Jupiter, okay? And that's kind of like in the midst of the moon squaring Saturn and Venus and Pluto. Okay, so the moon's then going to sextile Jupiter. So this is probably going to be like very magnified. Okay, the feelings might be very magnified, but at the same time, okay, a sextile is an opportunity. Okay, so Jupiter makes everything it touches bigger. Okay, and Jupiter is in Sagittarius, which is the sign that it rules. So Sagittarius is about truth. Okay, Sagittarius is about expansiveness. Sagittarius is about higher thought, higher learning, what we believe. Okay, and what I'm feeling here is that as the moon in Libra is squaring these planets in Capricorn and kind of like checking the receipts, we're going to be like feeling, okay, because like I said, Pluto is the last stop there, and Pluto is like trying to get to the root cause. Pluto wants you to get to the root of why. Why is there no reciprocity? Okay, why are you allowing things that are not reciprocal? Why? Like, and why do you want to hold on to it? Why would you be willing to hold on to that? Okay, like, because we're in a time where we have to start letting these things go, or rearranging them, or deciding to give less than what we have been giving to match what is actually being given back to us. Like, yes, that's okay to do, folks. Okay. So this moon sextile Jupiter, as it's squaring all of these other planets, the moon is asking, Jupiter is kind of being like, okay, what's the belief here? What do you believe? Okay. What do you believe about yourself that has allowed these structures, these relationships? Like, what do you believe about yourself? That's what Jupiter is going to be causing us to feel. Okay. If we take that opportunity, it might be a scary opportunity to take. So I'm saying, like, if you feel that way today, ask yourself. Okay. Because that's where the gold is. That's how Pluto gets to give you your power back. If you ask the question that Jupiter is asking you to ask, okay? Jupiter wants to know, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe on an emotional level, okay? And when we get, like I said before, when we get to emotional level, it becomes real for us, Okay, so what do you believe on an emotional level that causes you to allow this in your life, to allow this imbalance in your life? Okay, take that opportunity. Sextile is an opportunity. You have to take the opportunity. It's a scary one because it doesn't feel good. Okay, but take the opportunity to go down to the root of what it is that you believe. And Pluto will gift you with something. It happened to me today. Okay. Then Mercury. Okay. And this is the other part of this equation. Okay. Mercury is going to square Jupiter. Mercury is in Pisces. Mercury is how we think. Okay. It's how we think, but it's the feeling mind. Okay. Mercury in Pisces is the feeling mind. It's deep intuition. It's creative thinking. Okay. Jupiter, once again, is in Sagittarius, asking us to look at what we believe. So it's going to be giving this intel. So we'll be able to really feel what it is that we do believe that has allowed these imbalances. Okay. We'll be able to feel into that very deeply. Okay. So today could be a hard day, a harder day than, it's actually been kind of a hard week, but today could be a harder day looking at these truths, okay? Jupiter also rules higher truth, okay? We need to look at the truth of what it is that we believe so that we can be set free to create the space and to create the structures so that we have reciprocity, real reciprocity, okay? Not that fake shit. All right, not, well, I'm pouring my heart out, but, they said thanks. Like I made you, I baked you a cake and, you don't even get it. It's like, stop settling for stuff like that. Okay, that's basically what this is saying. Stop pouring yourself into things and people and situations and circumstances that are draining you. Okay, that's what this is about. So tomorrow, all right, tomorrow is the 23rd, Saturday the 23rd. And what's going to happen on Saturday? The moon will still be in Libra. Okay, so the moon kind of, the moon was kind of in a state today. The moon was kind of in a state on Friday because it was like a lot of hard truths and that they're emotional truths. So we're feeling it. Okay, we're feeling it. We are feeling it and we're feeling it hard. All right. So then Saturday, the moon is going to square the nodes of fate. Okay. And we've talked about the nodes of fate before. I don't like to necessarily call them nodes of fate. They're the nodes of evolution. Okay. And it's an evolutionary continuum. We have the south node, which is in Capricorn right now. That's where we've been. It's where we've created past actions. It's what we know. It's sometimes where we have to correct things, but it's also gifts. Okay. It's where we have taken action previously and we know that. All right. We know that space. The north node is opposite. Okay. Once again. And that's in Cancer right now. So in Cancer, the north node is asking us to look for home, create home, who's home, what's home, where is home, okay? And to create that within and for ourselves, okay? That's what the imperative is. So we're looking for security along this axis. This is the relational point of Cancer and Capricorn. It's about security, okay? And right now, with the south node being in Capricorn, we're looking at ways that we've given away our power to get a false sense of security. Okay? This is very, very in keeping with Friday's moon moon extravaganza and moon journey. Okay? Our emotional journey on Friday was really, like I said, it's looking at the receipts. Okay? This is what you're putting out. This is what you're getting back. All right? It's like time for an audit, basically. And then the moon on Saturday is going to square the nodes of evolution. And it's going to be like a choice. Okay. When we have that square between the nodes of the moon, anytime something squares the nodes of the moon, we have a choice because it's kind of cutting it in half. It's cutting that opposition in half, and we're feeling the pull of both sides. When we have a square to the nodes of the moon, we're feeling a pull of both sides. We're feeling the pull of the disempowerment and the possible empowerment, depending on, what your circumstances are. But right now, since we're in revision mode, we're feeling where we felt disempowered, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff going on back there. We're feeling where we've been disempowered, looking for security, and hence have accepted unequal relationships and unequal circumstances, okay? That's what that T-square, okay? That's what it's asking us to look at, and we have a choice, okay? Our choice here is to go towards what feels like home, okay? Go towards, and I'm not talking about like, we all have different home experiences, but I'm talking about what nurtures you, what feeds you, really, like in real life. Like, we got to get very real about this, okay? Because we're planning for what we want in the future, okay? So if you have been undernourished emotionally or undernourished, or not been, felt like really feeling insecure, you have to like really, really look at your feelings. And that's a hard thing for folks to do. Okay. It's a hard thing to really, really look at your feelings, be in your feelings and examine them. And I mean, the real ones, the hard ones. Okay. And that's what this is asking us to do right now. Think about how you feel. Okay. Cancer, which is where the North Node is, also rules the moon. So we're going to be really feeling a pull towards the Cancer side of things. We're going to be feeling that pull towards what is secure, what is nurturing, what is nourishing, and we're going to be able to tell, what's real, okay? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that real nurturing, that real sense of home, a real sense of coming home to yourself, okay? Because that's empowerment. Okay, if you have to feel like you're coming home, but you are so far away from yourself that you don't even know where the hell you are, okay, that's not being empowered and in your space. You're looking for the circumstances, the people, the situations that put you back inside of yourself and then feed you to boot. Okay, that's what you want. You want the things that put you back inside of yourself, let you be inside of yourself and love you and nurture you from that place, not from any other place. That's what we're looking for. And that's the square of the moon to the nodes of evolution. Okay, next, the moon is going to oppose Uranus. Okay, and I'm really I'm really on this right now because this is very, very important. Because after the moon goes through the squares with Saturn and Venus and Pluto and sextiles Jupiter and then squares the nodes of the moon, it's going to oppose Uranus. Okay, Uranus is in Aries. Uranus is the mind of our blueprint. It is the intelligence of our blueprint. Okay, and Uranus has been in Aries for the last 9 years, freeing our individual will. Okay, Aries is the sign of the individual and the will of the individual to act on its own behalf. That is what Uranus has been in Aries doing all this time, freeing and liberating our will to act on our own behalf. Okay, so when the moon, after all the stuff that the poor moon has been through in the last 24 hours, finally opposes Uranus, okay? We're going to know exactly what it is that we need to get liberated from, okay? And we're going to be able to emotionally liberate ourselves from things that have been disempowering and imbalanced and not reciprocal, okay? And we're going to be able to move ourselves toward, okay, because as soon as we get liberated, we are free to move in the direction that we want to move into, okay? And that direction is towards home. It's towards ourselves as home, okay? And then when we have ourselves as home, then we can start to create the space around us, which is our blueprint, okay? Create the space and the structures and the people that are home for us. Okay, that's why this is really important. Okay, and this is the last time that the moon is going to oppose Uranus in Aries, okay? Because Uranus is about to move out of Aries, and this is the 29th degree, so it's a very, very important degree that Uranus is on, okay? Because it's wrapping up this entire cycle. So it's really, really important that the moon is opposing Uranus after having gone through all of this emotional work and then being liberated at the end. Okay, so that's why I'm taking extra time with this, because it's an important aspect, and it's something that I think that we're all going to be feeling on some level or another. So I want to bring it to everybody's consciousness, because it's going to make it a lot easier if you've been holding on, or if you've been stuck or kind of unsure. Really, really look. Okay, that's the message that I'm getting. Okay, so the moon is going to oppose Uranus, and we're going to get some emotional liberation. Okay, we're going to feel the emotionally liberated from what has been disempowering and imbalanced for us. And then the moon is going to move into Scorpio, which is a very, very intense place for the moon to be. So this is going to be a pretty intense weekend, okay? Like, I'm just laying it out there. This is not going to be like easy peasy time. So the moon is going to move into Scorpio, and when the moon moves into Scorpio, like I said, things get intense, because we were looking for reciprocity before. And as we go through the zodiac continuum, like as we're looking for reciprocity, once we find that, Scorpio is where then we begin to build intimacy. Okay? We're beginning to build intimacy as we, have reciprocal relationships. And I'm not talking about sexual intimacy. There's a whole lot of different kinds of intimacy. Intimacy is basically coming into a deep knowing and understanding of something. Okay? That's what we're looking for. A deep exchange of something. Okay? That's intimacy. And we don't have to have intimacy with everything. But when the moon is in Scorpio, we are searching for that. We're searching for emotional intimacy. That's what we want. We are craving it. Scorpio is also about cravings. We're craving emotional intimacy when the moon is in Scorpio. Okay? So this is going to cause us, now that we've liberated, we're becoming liberated, okay, from the things that aren't reciprocal, and we're going towards what's home. There's an intimacy to home. So there's a connection here that's going to help kind of guide us to what is secure. Okay? So the moon in Scorpio is going to be looking for this intimacy. And then the moon is going to oppose Mars in Taurus. Okay, so Mars is in Taurus, clearing the way for Uranus, building. Okay, Taurus is, like I said, the sign opposite of Scorpio. Okay, and Taurus is about our resources. Okay, it's about our personal resources, the things that we have, that we value. Okay, it's also about our own self-worth. Okay, how do we value ourselves? That's what Taurus asks. It's, what are our talents? What do we have to exchange with another? Okay, that is Taurus. What are our resources? What can I give to share with you? Okay, Scorpio, the opposite of Taurus, Scorpio is also about resources. Scorpio is about those deep resources, like really, really deep resources, like your human nature resources. Okay, so that's why it's about sex and money and, like things dying and regenerating. Okay, Scorpio is about those things. Okay, but as the sign of intimacy, okay, it's about sharing. It's about the sharing of it's the sharing of your resources, okay? And if we look at it from the standpoint of, from Taurus, coming from a place of self-worth, it's this axis is about how we share ourselves based on how we value ourselves, okay? So now what we're going to be looking at, okay, and we just came off of this moon in Libra talking about reciprocity, okay? Now we're going to be looking, the sun in Scorpio, which is requiring this deep emotional intimacy, is going to be looking at the Mars in Taurus. And Mars in Taurus is down there clearing. Okay, it's beginning to build and clear a foundation based on our intrinsic, okay, what we believe to be our intrinsic worth. Are we worthy? What are we worthy of building? Okay, what do we have at our disposal that we can build with? Okay, now Scorpio is like, what do we have at our disposal that we can share? Okay, what do we have at our disposal that we can share deeply with another person, that we can give deeply to others around us to create intimacy? Okay, and it could really, like, the way to reconcile this is to really understand the desire, okay, the desire to, it's about possession, like what you want. It's knowing what you want. Okay, that's really what this is. Like, this is the balance between Taurus and Scorpio. They both want things very deeply. Okay, so it's knowing what you want. Okay, and knowing what you are willing to give for what you want. Okay, what am I willing to exchange for what it is that I desire? Okay, that's Taurus Scorpio. Okay, so it could be that our moon is feeling Mars hurts. Okay, Mars can hurt. Okay, and Taurus, I'm not feeling that. I feel like we're going to be a little beat up after the moon in Libra, and we're requiring, like, we're looking now for intimacy. We're like, oh my gosh, you know, I haven't, like, now, like, oh my gosh, like this reciprocity thing, and now I'm like, oh God, the intimacy in my relationships, like, what am I think the question for us is going to be, what have I what have I been giving of myself for false intimacy? Okay? What have I been giving of myself for false senses of intimacy? Okay, this is an opposition. So we're looking, and the moon is looking down at Taurus, and it's like, okay, I see what I have to build. And now the moon is feeling the intimacy that is around you. Okay, the moon is sensing all of that intimate, like all the intimate connections that you have. And the moon is now looking down in Taurus and looking at what Mars has and what Mars is building with. And the moon's like, damn, I got a lot to offer. And I give a lot. Why are my intimate relationships like this? Okay, so it could be a moment of sadness. It could be moments of, like, really feeling like, kind of, you know, I don't want to say, it's just disconnected. Okay, and really looking at, like, once again, this is about resources. Okay, looking at what you're giving and what you're getting back. Okay, this is relating. Oppositions are about relating. So it's like, once again, what am I giving of myself for intimacy, or for a sense of intimacy, to feel that I have intimacy in my life? And what are my needs for intimacy? Also examining that. How much you're willing to give for that. Okay, so that is kind of like the moon's journey on Saturday. So not fun. Okay, not a very fun time that the moon is having Friday and Saturday. And then the moon is going to trine the sun. Okay, so the moon's going to move into Scorpio. We're going to be feeling that emotional intimacy. Moon's going to oppose Mars, and we're going to be, like, looking at what we're giving, looking at what we're getting. And then the moon is going to trine the sun in Pisces. And when the moon trines the sun in Pisces, this is when it kind of feels a little bit better, hopefully. But in Pisces, once again, the sun is holding the consciousness of our blueprint, and the blueprint is being infused with soul in Pisces. So right now, the moon has a flowing and an easy connection to the consciousness of our blueprint, and is able, okay, if we are honest with ourselves, it's able to give the emotional intel about what it is that we need to seed into our blueprint, so that we fulfill our needs for intimacy. Okay, we fulfill our needs for emotional intimacy. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, like, a lot of times, like, we get all like, we don't understand the different levels of intimacy. You can be intimate with your friends, you can be intimate with knowledge, you can be intimate with anything. Okay, because we're in relationships with everything. So you can know something intimately, you can know someone intimately, but it's about understanding what we're giving over for that, how much of our time, how much of our energy, how much of our heart, how much of our money, how much in order to get that. Okay, that's what we're looking at while the moon is opposing Mars in Taurus. So by the time that the sun trines the moon has this information about what it is that it requires, what it is that it really wants, what it is that what it wants to feel like. Okay, what the emotional intimacy, what we want it to feel like. Okay, and what we're willing to share of ourselves, what we're willing to share of our resources in order to have that. Okay, so that's that. And then Mercury in Pisces is going to sextile Pluto in Capricorn. Now, we've talked about Mercury being in Pisces, and, just that's feeling mind, intuition, very creative thinking. Okay, we're kind of like soaking things up through osmosis around us. And Pluto in Capricorn is the root of our personal power. Okay, Pluto rules Scorpio. All right, so since the moon is in Scorpio, Pluto is going to be getting information, okay? Information about how the moon is feeling as it's moving through Scorpio, and that intimacy that the moon is desiring, that the moon is wanting, okay? Pluto's going to have a direct line to that. And then when Mercury and Pluto sextile, they're going to be able to, sextiles once again are opportunity aspects. It's an invitation. So it will feel pleasant because it'll kind of be like Pluto will be able to understand the moon's need for intimacy, for that emotional intimacy, and will be able to translate that to Mercury. So we'll be able to think about it. It won't just be a feeling. Actually, it will kind of just be a feeling because it'll be a thought feeling because Mercury's still in Pisces. So it will be a feeling, but we'll be able to bring it more to mind and be able to articulate our needs better. Okay? And also in that, see the root. Okay, once again, we're at the root. See the root of what it is that we're giving away, why we're giving it away, and how we can take our personal power back. If there is any type of power imbalance, okay? If there's any type of imbalance in what we're giving over to receive intimacy, Pluto will be there to tell us to look at the root, and we'll be able to understand in our minds intuitively how to fix this, okay? And that's what the moon will then be able to give back to the sun for our blueprint. I hope that wasn't too crazy, but that it's a lot to explain because it's a lot that our emotions are going to be going through for the next 2 days. And I really want people to understand because it's going to be like, I'm kind of breaking it down so that because it might feel very overwhelming. Okay. And like just too much. And you might just want to crawl into bed and just say, fuck it. But no worries. Like, I want to break it down so that however this is working out for you, you can be able to say, oh, okay, maybe this is what it is, and then follow it through to wherever it needs to take you. So Sunday, the moon is then still going to be in Scorpio. The moon's going to sextile Saturn and Pluto. Okay. And it's a pleasant aspect. Okay. It's Scorpio. We're still going to be dealing with emotional, intimacy, But the sextile is an opportunity. So we might have an opportunity to look at the structures, that we have in place, to see who and what actually gives us emotional intimacy. Okay, because I feel like the sextile, it's always a pleasant invitation. So we might have an invitation to look at what's around us that does provide that for us. Okay, and then the sextile to Pluto is to then maybe take some of that power back. Okay, maybe understand the root causes, after understanding the root causes the day before, to then be able to look at maybe potentially building a foundation for what's happening for the places where you are being emotionally, like where your needs for emotional intimacy are actually being met. Okay, that's what I feel like Sunday is. I feel like Sunday is that day where it's kind of like, you've been through a lot. Okay, like the moon has been through a lot. Here's a bone, moon. Like, here's a day where you get to have a little bit of emotional intimacy and be emotionally fed, and there's reciprocity. And think about this. Think about it, and think about how this feels in comparison to what may have happened the last 2 days. Okay, and so you have something to compare, and then being able to seed that into our blueprint as well. Okay, Mercury in Pisces is going to... Is this the same day? Okay. Yeah. So Mercury in Pisces is going to sextile Venus in Capricorn. Okay, and this is going to be kind of going on for a couple days. So when this happens, okay, and actually I think it's more Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. So we can move on to Monday, right? So Monday, the 25th, Mercury is going to sextile Venus in Pisces. Mercury in Pisces is going to sextile Venus in Capricorn. And when that happens, we have the mind, like the intelligence of the dream, okay? The Mercury's holding the concept, okay? Mercury's holding the concept of our blueprint in the waters of Pisces. So the concept has been getting infused with a lot of soul, okay? But each meeting that every planet has with Mercury, the concept gets tweaked. Okay, our reasoning, like our thought processes and what's going on, like why we're doing this and what we're doing it for and what the blueprint means to us, and all the concepts, all the reasons why we have this particular vision, this particular dream for ourselves. Mercury's holding that, okay? So when Mercury sextiles Venus, it's an invitation, okay? It's a pleasant invitation to seed our blueprint with what it is that we really want, okay? Venus in Capricorn, really, really, like Venus attracts and relates and values, okay? Like I said before, what's real in Capricorn. Venus in Capricorn wants what's real, wants what's empowering, okay? Venus wants to relate with things that give it power, okay? That's what Venus wants. Venus wants to relate with things that give it power, that Venus can stand on in power, okay? Venus wants the things that give Venus personal power, okay? Venus wants to relate to beings that are in their personal power. That's what Venus wants when Venus is in Capricorn. So the sextile is a pleasant opportunity, okay, for us to seed the concept of our blueprint after all the shit that the moon has been through for the last 3 days, to seed the concept of our blueprint with empowering relations. Okay, Venus is about relating. It's about changing our relationships to relationships that are empowering to us. We now want to bring in, attract, which is what Venus does, call in and relate to what relationships that are empowering to us, that allow us to stand in our personal power. That's what Venus and Mercury are going to be talking about, this concept within the blueprint. What is empowering? Let's adjust the concept, okay? Because perhaps our concept of what was empowering in our relationships was not good enough. And we've realized that after the shit show of emotion that we've been through for the last 3 days. Okay, so now we're like, oh, that wasn't good enough. Perhaps we should perhaps we should put some more empowering relationships into, or this concept of our blueprint. And it's like, yes. How about we do that? So that's what is happening when Venus sextiles Mercury on Monday. And the moon. Okay, the moon, still in Scorpio, mind you, is going to trine the North Node. Okay, now a trine, once again, is it's a flowing aspect. Okay, so the moon being in Scorpio and having just gone through all this stuff with emotional intimacy and, kind of feeling the difference between what we're giving away to have this emotional intimacy, and if that emotional intimacy is actually really intimacy at all, okay? Or is it meeting our needs? Whatever the case may be, the moon in Scorpio is going to be trining the North Node in Cancer, which is asking us, what is home? Okay? Now, I know, like I said before, like we all have different versions of what home means to us, but home to me is a place of intimacy. Okay, home is a place of intimacy. It is a place of intimacy with myself. It's a place of intimacy with those around me. It's kind of like the sanctum, the sanctuary. Okay, and that's what I feel like the moon trine the North Node is. It's like the moon is talking to the North Node, talking to our node of evolution about the type of intimacy that we need to create home within and without. Okay, so that's the moon trine the North Node. Then the moon is going to trine Mercury in Pisces. Okay, so this is actually kind of like a grand trine that's forming. And a grand trine is just when there's 3 trines, it creates a triangle in the chart, and the energy just flows round robin. Just round robin all the way through. So the moon's talking to the North Node, and the North Node is talking to Mercury, and Mercury's talking to the moon, and they're just all talking to each other. So there's a lot of information that's coming through about what the moon has been seeing and feeling while in like basically Libra through Scorpio at this point, about reciprocity and intimacy. Like this is what the moon is talking to the North Node about, and realizing like this is what I need for home. Okay, this is what I want to put in. This is what I'm calling in. And once again, Mercury is the concept. Okay, Mercury is the concept of our blueprint, and Mercury just got done talking to Venus about the concept of what it is that we want to put in, to what the kind of relationships that we want to put in that empower us. So this is what we're putting in. So now Mercury is, talking to the moon about the need for intimacy, that need for emotional intimacy. Okay, and that's infusing the concept. So the concept is getting bigger. Okay, basically, like as we get all of this, as the moon gets all of this information, the concept of our blueprint is getting bigger, because now that we're understanding that maybe we were settling for things that weren't adequate for us before, they were inadequate because we thought we were inadequate. But now we're coming to we're in a place of more power and more aligned in our truth. So now we're like, oh, like this is what it actually feels like. This is what I actually want. So we'll be able to kind of, maybe not, like I said, clearly name it because Mercury is still in Pisces, but we might be able to actually understand, like come to an understanding. Okay, that's what I feel like Mercury in Pisces is. It's understanding. It's an intuitive understanding of our need for emotional intimacy and what it is that we want and what feels like home. We'll be able to kind of put all of that together for ourselves come Monday. Okay, and also understand the relationships that empower us. And while giving us the emotional intimacy, okay, the relationships that empower us and give us emotional intimacy, because the moon is also going to be sextiling Venus, okay? And Venus just got done sextiling Mercury. So Venus is like, hey, this is what is empowering to you, O moon in Scorpio, looking for intimacy. This is what it feels like to be empowered in an emotionally intimate way. Okay, that's what Venus is going to be talking to the moon about. Okay, so that's Monday's thing. Understanding our need for emotional intimacy, understanding our need for empowerment within that. Okay, because when you think about it, like, if you are in an intimate relationship with anything that is disempowering, that's your inner sanctum. Okay, you're letting something into your home. Okay, when you are intimate with somebody, you're creating a special place for them in your heart, in your soul space, in you. Okay, we're not talking about the rest of the world right now. We're talking about your intimates, your closest. Okay, when you create space inside of yourself, in the closest, most tender parts of yourself, okay, and with people that do not reciprocate and disempower you, what does that do to your spirit? What does that do to your soul? Okay? Think about that. You have to think about who is around you now. What are you bringing in? What are you bringing into your core spaces? Okay? And that needs to, we need to adjust. All right? We need to adjust. And that is what, as the moon prepares to move into Sagittarius, okay, the moon is going to be in an adjustment aspect. I usually don't talk about these. It's called a quincunx. It's going to be an adjustment aspect with Uranus in Aries. Okay, so it's going to be liberating us, liberating our emotional, like liberating us emotionally to be able to accept empowerment in our intimate relationships. Okay, it's creating an adjustment for us about what it is that we are calling in, what it is that we need, and creating a space of empowerment for us. Okay, that is what Monday's moon journey is about, creating that space of empowerment for our intimate need, for our needs for emotional intimacy. Okay, and understanding who it is that we're calling in, what it is that we're calling in for that, and understanding that we need to be very, very careful about who and what we let in, because it can tear us down. It can tear us apart. We want things that build us up. Okay, that's what we want. So then the moon is going to move into Sagittarius. Okay, and the moon is going to move into Sag, and in Sag, the moon is going to feel so much better. Can I just tell you? The moon's going to feel so much better because Sagittarius is like expansive. So the moon has been like, basically getting the shit kicked out of it for the last like 4 days. And then it's going to come to Sagittarius. It's going to be like, oh, now I can expand. Like no more like talks about reciprocity and intimacy and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but that's not going to last. So anyway... so the moon's going to move into Sagittarius, and then the sun is going to sextile Mars. Okay, so we'll put the moon in Sag on hold for a moment. Okay, but the sun in Pisces is going to sextile Mars in Taurus. Okay, and this aspect's going to be lasting a couple of days, and this is, I think, a pretty important aspect because I think it relates to the tarot card that I got for the week, which we'll talk about at the end of this. But the sun in Pisces, sextile Mars in Taurus. Like I said before, the sun is our individual consciousness, and it is holding, okay, it's holding our blueprint, okay, and our blueprint is becoming infused with life. So, this is about our dreams now. It's like, what are we dreaming about? Okay, Mars is in Taurus, kind of taking stock of our resources and using Mars is our will. Mars is our will and our motivation and our intention behind any of our actions. Okay, Mars is the will and the intent and the reason why we do what we do. Okay, so Mars is in Taurus, very slowly and methodically looking at what we have at our disposal. Okay, and just little by little breaking ground for us to be able to build the dreams that we have. Okay, so the Sun sextile Mars, and like I said, it's going to be going on for pretty much the rest of the week. It's about our dreams coming into some type of it's also it's an opportunity aspect. Let me say this. It's an opportunity aspect. So it's going to feel good. Okay, so we're going to feel an invitation that we may or may not accept. Okay, but it'll feel good either way. Okay, but the invitation is to really look at what it is that we look at ourselves. Okay, look at ourselves and look at what it is that we want. Look at what it is that we dream of. And then get to work. Really, this is about aligning ourselves with our dream so that we can begin, we can consciously, okay, this is about us consciously. A lot of the stuff that's been happening so far that has been conscious has been about us letting go of things, okay? This is where we switch to beginning to consciously work on our dreams, to consciously make the efforts to change our behaviors, to consciously take actions to start to step by step break the ground and begin building the structures of the blueprint. Okay, so that's why this is really important. That's why this Sun sextile Mars it's lasting for a few days. It's lasting for I think most of the rest of the week. And it's very important because if we take that opportunity, and it could feel hard to take because Mars in Taurus moves very slowly and Sun in Pisces is rather floaty. So it could be a hard thing to begin to take action on, but we'll feel inspired. Okay, Pisces is also inspiration. Okay, so we could feel inspired to begin to do things in a different way, which is really, really sweet after the weekend that we just had. So we'll be inspired to do things in a different way. Okay, and that way will be in service to the manifestation of our dream. Okay, in service to the building of the foundations and the framework for our dreams. Now, Tuesday. All right, here we go. So like I said, the Sun is going to move into Sagittarius on Monday after a really heavy weekend. And the Moon, like I said, Monday kind of ends, it's a bit of it's a nicer day, but it's still kind of it's a deep energy. And when the Moon gets into Sag, we feel it's this sense of opening. We have emotionally we can open up a little bit, okay? But then what's going to happen is we have the third quarter square. And the third quarter square, it comes after the full moon, and it's when the moon is waning and getting ready to go new again. So this is the week before the new moon. And we have the third quarter square moon. So the moon in Sag, feeling very expansive, is going to square the Sun in Pisces. Also expansive, but, that's that. So anyway, but what happens is the moon, a square is a frictional aspect like we talked about. So there's something that we need to see, so that we can grow. So what happens is that what I am getting from this, because it is time for us to, the moon's been through a lot, our emotional beings have been through a lot in the last few days, but this one's really important because it's getting to kind of the crux of everything that the journey that the moon has been on since pretty much the full moon for the last week, okay? Which is, what beliefs do we need to let go of? What beliefs are we so emotionally invested in about ourselves that are going to interfere with the building of this dream of a blueprint that we have over here sitting with the sun in Pisces? What are we so emotionally invested in? What belief structure about ourselves are we so emotionally invested in that we need to let go of that? Okay, so if we've done a lot of the work over the weekend, this won't be as painful, I'm hoping, and it won't be as irritating, and we'll be able to say, okay, like, I saw on Friday it was this, and Saturday it was this, and Sunday it was this, and Monday it was this. And so by Tuesday, we're ready to start the process of relinquishing the beliefs. Okay, because we've made the list. We've made the list within our emotional selves. So that's the square of the moon. It's like we have the sun in Pisces holding the consciousness of the blueprint in our soul waters, and we can see our dream, and our moon in Sag is like feeling really expansive and is like wants to touch that dream, but it's like, wait, I can't get to it because there's something that doesn't feel right in me. Something in me doesn't feel right, and it has to do with what it is that we believe about ourselves. Do we believe that we are worthy of this blueprint? Do we believe that we are worthy of the things that we are asking for? Do we believe that we can handle it? Do we believe that we have the right to it? I mean, like, all of these things. What beliefs are we holding on to about ourselves that can fuck up our chances for the life that we want? Okay, this is kind of an important time right here. We need to really think about that, okay? That's what the third quarter square of the moon is asking us. What beliefs are you holding that are going to interfere with the building of this blueprint? And it's not necessarily even about yourself. Like, what beliefs about the world? Okay, like your place within it, like all of that stuff. Any beliefs that you might be holding on to, okay, that you have emotionally invested in, because there's some beliefs that we have, and you're like, but it's not something that I feel like, actually, I think really, in order for us to really take things to heart and to like act from things, when we act from our beliefs, it's because we're emotionally invested in them. Okay, and it's also about faith. Okay, that's the other thing that Sagittarius is about. It's about faith. Okay, so not only will we be asked to let go of anything that is limiting to us, okay, as far as our beliefs, because when the moon is squaring the sun in Pisces, like, Sag is expansive, Pisces is like the expanse of like nothingness. Like, there are no boundaries to Pisces at all. Okay, so we might even begin to feel a little like where we're constricted. Like, the moon could feel like the deep expansiveness and like the just mind-blowing expansiveness of Pisces, and realize, oh, I am feeling a bit contracted here in this state of where I thought I was expanded. I thought that I was expanded, and yet I actually need to change a few things so that I can get to that level of expansion, So I feel like the moon will be ready to relinquish some things, okay? And we're going to see what those things are as, the week plays out, okay? Because it trips the process, okay? So we'll be understanding, especially as we're taking actions, okay? Because we're beginning on Monday to take those actions to consciously take the actions to start building on our blueprint. I feel like with that sun sextiling Mars and then squaring, I think it's going to be a lot about what it is that we believe about ourselves that we need to let go of. Our own worth. Are we worthy to build this blueprint? Do we have what it takes to build this blueprint? And we need to let go. We need to look at and acknowledge and let go of any beliefs that we have that go against what it is that we want for ourselves. Okay, and then the moon, after squaring the sun, Tuesday's going to be a fun day too, is going to square Neptune, okay? And moon square Neptune is really about our illusions. Okay, it's about the things that we don't want to see. Okay, it's about the things that we do not want to see. Okay, they're right there in front of us in plain sight, and we want to like put some shit over top of them. And, you know, a couple weeks ago, I was talking about painting turds gold. Okay, that's what we want to do. We want to take a turd and we want to paint it gold and we want to call it valuable. Okay, that's kind of what Moon square Neptune is about. So the moon being still in Sagittarius and having come off of squaring the sun and, you know, really looking at our beliefs, now it's like, how have these beliefs, like, what illusions are we still holding on to? Okay, we're asked about our beliefs. Now we're asked about what illusions. Okay, what illusions are we holding on to and believing them to be true? Okay, and all of these things we can transmute into faith. Okay, we can transmute into, you know, boundless expansion. But first we have to get through the hard parts of understanding and letting the beliefs, letting the limiting beliefs come, letting the illusions come, and then being okay with relinquishing them. Okay, being willing to look at what is as it is. Because like I said earlier, if we're aligned in our truth, we have to meet everything outside of us from that place of truth. And that means that there can be no more illusions. Okay, so this is like, where have we emotionally been fooling ourselves about anything? Okay, where have we been fooling ourselves emotionally? Okay, and believing in it so hard, and it's time to let it go because we can't have that. We're actually building something that is going to be real. We don't need the illusions anymore. We don't need them. So it's okay to let them go. But a lot of times we hold on to these false things because it feels better than what's real. So now if we understand that if I'm holding on to this illusion, then that means that what's really there is not good for me. And that means that that's something that we need to let go of. Okay, so that's the moon square Neptune. And then Venus is going to conjunct the south node of the moon. All right. Now, what I'm seeing here, okay, because the moon is squaring the sun, the moon is squaring Neptune, and all, like, this is all, you know, throughout Tuesday. And then Venus is going to conjunct the south node. And what I am feeling is that when Venus conjuncts that south node, I said before, south node is where we have taken action prior. Okay, we've taken prior action. Our souls, through their evolutionary journey, have taken actions prior. Okay, and it's where it holds weight. It's got gravity there. Okay, it's got gravity. And because there's karma, we have karma. Karma's just actions, neither good nor bad. It's just actions. Okay, but it's where we may need to balance some actions. It's where we may get gifts from actions. It's where we may have talents. It's where we may need to correct things. It's where maybe we've overdone it and we need to learn how to we need to move to the north node for a bit to learn how to do the south node in an even better way. Okay. But right now, with Venus being there, and once again, Venus in Capricorn is looking for what's real, looking for the real deal. Yeah, Venus conjunct the south node. I feel like this is going to kind of, because once Venus is conjunct the south node, Venus is also opposing the north node. So Venus on the south node is showing us why we can't go towards the north node, why we are not evolving toward the north node. Okay? And my sense of this is that we're going to kind of be shown, okay, we're going to be shown how, like, what it is that we have wanted. Okay, does that make sense? Because it's the south node. So I feel like it's going to be kind of like almost be a trip down memory lane of like what it is that we have wanted in the past. What is it that we have attracted in the past? What have our relationships looked like in the past? And the past could be like 5 years ago. It could be like 5 minutes ago. What have they looked like in the past? What have we wanted? Okay, what were our what was our value system? Who did we want? Where did we want to be? Just what did we give value to? How do we value ourselves? Okay, and I feel like that, it could be kind of like a little like, ugh, because while that's happening, then like I said, the moon is squaring the sun and the moon is squaring Neptune. So it's like, cut all the bullshit. Tuesday I feel like is the day where shit just starts. It's dying. Okay. That's what I feel like. I feel like Tuesday is a day where shit is dying. Like, we've kind of been in the death throes and like wondering, should we pull the plug on stuff? I feel like Tuesday, like if you get past Tuesday and you are still holding on to some bullshit, you are amazing. Okay, I was going to say that because I feel like Tuesday is going to start this process. It's going to be hard. Okay, because we're going to have Venus conjunct the south node of the moon. And that is like, this is shit that is keeping us held back from our evolution, keeping us from finding home in ourselves. Okay, so we're going to be shown all of the shit within us from the past, okay, that we hold on to. And being asked, why do we believe this? Like, this is the blueprint now. And why do we, why? Okay, why do we believe this? Why are we holding on to this illusion? Let that shit go. Okay, that's what I feel like Tuesday is going to be. And we're going to have to make some very, very hard decisions, which might not even really be that hard. It might just feel a little like, ugh. But at the same time, it might just feel really relieving to just be like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm getting rid of it. Okay, so that's Tuesday, the third quarter square. And I'm really talking about all of this so much because this week feels like dying. Okay, like this week feels like the death of something. And it might not be the immediate death, but it feels like it's beginning the process officially. And it feels like it's happening with this third quarter square where shit's just, it's dying now. Okay? The old things have to die because the new things really, really want to be born. Like they're waiting. They're at the threshold, but they have to wait for enough of the old to go so that they can take their place. Okay. And this is the time when that's happening. Okay. So I know that I've been talking, for a while and about a lot of this stuff, but it's really important to understand that this is what we're being asked to do and to understand the processes behind it so that you know to surrender. Okay, basically, so that you know to surrender. And I mean, I'm saying this because it's hard for me. Like, I'll sit here and do this entire podcast and then, 12 hours later be in a total crisis. And I'm like, I just talked about this shit, but oh my God, I didn't know it was going to hit me like this. So this is kind of like, I'm explaining everything so that you understand what the processes are and to surrender to them, because it's very important that we do now. We're closing up a cycle. Okay, Uranus, this cycle of individuation and, freeing our will to build and freeing our creativity and all of the stuff that we've been through. Uranus is moving into Taurus as of next week. So this is the last week. This shit is dying this week. Okay, and we have to let it die. It's time to surrender. Okay. This is something else that I've also spoken about. And I only last week, like I said, I talked about the nodes of the moon, and the degree that they were on. And I was mentioning that because it was on the 26th degree of Cancer, the north node of the moon. It was on there for so long. Okay. So long. And I think that's the degree that it's at the longest through this entire 18-month period that the nodes are going to be in Cancer Capricorn. And I was saying that it felt like a choice had to be made. A direction had to be chosen. Okay. And Tuesday, the day of the third quarter square, as we decide to let things die, okay, as we decide to allow things to go, release the belief systems, release the illusions, really look at, what it is that we've been, relating to and dealing with and how we've been doing it. And all of the process of, the last 4 weeks and 2 years and 5 years and 9 months and 9 years, all of these things. The moon's node finally moves from 26 to 25, okay? Because we've chosen. All right, we have chosen the path, okay? And that's why I'm saying things can officially begin to die because we've chosen the path, okay? And like I said, there's still wiggle room and things to change, and Mercury's about to go retrograde, okay? But we've basically chosen the path, so we're kind of getting a bit of a taste. Okay, and the 25th degree, like I explained last week, I use Elias Lonsdale, the Chandra symbols, and I read them from Elias Lonsdale's book, The Inside Degrees. But basically, the degree is described as pastry chefs. Okay, and what that tells me is that it's time to get to work. Okay, we've chosen our path, and it's a path that is going to require skill. It's a path that is going to require, a level of dedication. And it's also a path that is going to produce something sweet and something that is going to, has the potential to nourish us. I mean, pastries, I find them nourishing, but let's be honest, like you need a meal too. But yes, like this, we're kind of getting a taste. Okay, this is like a taste of where it is that we want to be going because we've made a choice, okay? And we're dedicating ourselves, and we're beginning to put in some work to begin to make something that will produce a sweet reward, okay? That's my take on it, okay? So that's like the happiness of Tuesday, yay! Okay, Wednesday, it's like the universe is giving us a lovely, lovely reprieve. The moon will conjunct Jupiter. Okay, and after the moon has been through, like I said, squaring and all this, squaring the sun and squaring Neptune, the moon's going to get to Jupiter, and Jupiter is about expansion. Okay, so we might be feeling really, just weary emotionally. Feel like this week is going to be, a lot of emotional work. Okay, just a lot of emotional work. The moon's going to conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter expands things, okay? So the moon may feel slightly better, but after Tuesday, the moon might really still be, because like I said, it's in the process. It's in the process of letting things go. It's in the process of letting the beliefs go. It's in the process of tearing down the illusions, in the process of, understanding the emotional intimacy. It's all of these things. It's all processes, okay? And so that process just began the day before. So I feel like Jupiter could actually expand that and make it very, very clear to us emotionally, okay, this is what we need to get rid of. These are the beliefs. These are the illusions. Oh my God, we got to let it go. So I feel like that's what Jupiter could potentially do to the moon. But also I feel like at the same time, it could also allow us to feel just kind of a little bit of a reprieve and a sense of expansion from those things, to kind of feel what it would feel like without the illusions. What does it feel like without the limiting beliefs? What does it feel like? To kind of give us a taste and a flavor and an understanding of that. And then Thursday. So I feel like we kind of we'll feel a little bit better on Wednesday, because there's not much going on Wednesday. And then Thursday, the moon is going to trine Uranus, okay? So the moon is going to trine Uranus. And when the moon trines Uranus, it's kind of this is why I was saying that we might feel that expansion on Wednesday of okay, this is what it can feel like to feel, without the bullshit, but also magnifying the bullshit at the same time, so that we understand what it is that we're letting go of. And then the moon is going to trine Uranus in Aries. Once again, Uranus it's liberation. Okay, so it's liberating us from the emotional belief systems, liberating us from our emotional illusions, okay? It's liberating us. Before Uranus moves into Taurus next week, we're getting our freedom, like we're getting the keys out, okay? We are out. So this is why this week is so important, and this is why this is probably taking forever. I haven't even looked at the time, but I really want everybody to understand that the choices that we're making now and the things that we're feeling and what we're going through and the intuition that's coming in and everything that's going on, it's really, really important for us. Okay, it's very, very important for us because it's time for it's time for the change of the guard. It's time to move on. Okay, so the moon is going to trine Uranus, and it's the process of liberating us from our emotional belief bondage, and our emotional illusions. And then the moon is going to move into Capricorn. Okay, and in Capricorn, the moon goes from being like this expansive feeling of like, yay, I just hit Uranus, and like now, like I feel free of illusions and feel free of like limiting beliefs, and then it's like, okay, so let's get down to emotional brass tacks here, okay? Like, so it's like this, then we contract. We're going to emotionally contract, okay? And Capricorn is not the most emotional sign, okay? It's opposite. Cancer actually is quite emotional. However, it does not express emotion the way that Cancer does. Like Capricorn expresses emotion by like doing things, okay? So where Cancer is looking for that like emotional sustenance. Okay, Cancer needs to eat. Capricorn is strictly like, I know the axis is about emotional security. Cancer is strictly about security. So Capricorn wants emotional security, but it wants it through like structure. So this is like the structuring of our emotions, okay? This is like we're putting them into places so that we can feel secure about them. So this is kind of like emotional structuring, sort of, but in like for security. Okay, we want that security. So the moon in Capricorn is going to trine Mars. Okay, Mars is in Taurus. Like I said, checking out our resources and building, just very slow. I feel like Mars is like down there just doing his thing, like down there in Taurus, just doing the work. Okay, this is what I got at my disposal. I'm gonna break ground. And Mars is also still talking to the sun. Okay, so Mars and the sun are still having that sextile. So Mars is like, it's like Mars has the headphones on and is listening to like the dream of the soul and is building according to that. Okay, like that's what I see. Mars is just head to the ground, using what we have and breaking ground, and we're acting. We're taking action. Okay, we're taking action from this place. Okay, this is the actions that we are physically taking in our lives now. Okay, because Taurus is tangible, Taurus is physical. So we're starting to take those small actions, even in the midst of all the moon's turmoil. We're taking those small actions all throughout this week, okay, to lead us to where we need to go, because the old is dying. So as the old dies, we need to start birthing. We need to start building so that the new thing will be there as the old thing leaves. Okay, and it kind of gives us a taste of what it is that we're working towards, you know? All right, so the moon's going to sextile Mars in Taurus, and the moon in Capricorn is basically going to kind of like, it's checking on the emotional structures. Okay, like what do we have emotionally? All right, that might be holding us. Okay, like the moon is not very happy in Capricorn, okay? And I will say this because the moon likes to be fluid, okay? Capricorn wants structure, okay? But what it is that we can understand our emotions, okay? If we have a place from which to kind of, what am I trying to say? Like, if we have a bit of a container, okay? And this is the relationship between Saturn and the moon anyway. This is the whole thing of the axis, okay? Saturn is actually not that bad, okay? Saturn likes to build forms and structures, but Saturn is an agent of the feminine. So Saturn helps to give form to what the feminine needs, okay? So as the feminine flows, Saturn is there to provide a boundary. Okay, a boundary for us. So, that's the word I'm looking for. Emotional boundaries. Moon in Capricorn. That's the word I'm looking for. Emotional boundaries. So here we have, now we've been through all of this stuff, and it's we're going through like our belief systems and intimacy and, illusions and reciprocity and the hows, and this has been like this entire cycle. And now the moon is coming to emotional boundaries. Okay, and we're seeing and we're understanding with this trine to Taurus what the boundaries need to be. Okay, what do the boundaries need to be? It's good to have boundaries. Okay, it's good to have boundaries, and this is about our worth. Okay, in Taurus, when the moon is in Taurus, when Mars is in Taurus, like I said, Taurus is about our self-worth. So this is like what we have, our intention to build. What do we intend to build that is going to reinforce the appropriate? Okay, because this is a trine, so it's a pleasant aspect. It's very flowing. What are we going to build that is going to reinforce the appropriate emotional boundaries that we need after everything that we have just learned? Okay, and Taurus is talking to the blueprint up there in Pisces, so it's understanding. Okay, it's understanding what it is that we need to build and how we need to build, and is also giving that information to the sun in Pisces, like, hey, like I'm getting this from the moon in Capricorn about the boundaries that we need based on our resources and what we want to share and what we want to give and what we're trying to build and who we're trying to build with. These are the appropriate boundaries for us, okay? Because there's nothing wrong with having emotional boundaries. In fact, a healthy, empowered being has boundaries, has emotional boundaries. When you don't have them, that's when you end up in things that are not equal. You end up in things that are not intimate. You end up in things that you have to make up illusions and lies for in order to be in. And it kind of fucks with your belief system about what it is that you're worthy of. Okay? We are all worthy of having our boundaries respected. Okay? And this is what Capricorn is bringing into our building. Okay? Mercury is going to slow down to retrograde. Okay, so I just want to put that in there because this is on Thursday. Mercury's slowing down. So Mercury's only going to move one more degree between now and next week when it goes retrograde. So that's important to note because things our thought processes, things are going to start slowing down. So make sure that you are very careful with, anything that you're doing, and know that the things that are going on now, even though things are dying, it's going to kind of maybe be a long death cycle, okay? Because we're going to be in the process of revisiting some of the things that are coming up now to like revise our concept, okay? This is about revising the concept of the blueprint as Mercury goes retrograde. Okay, so before Mercury leaves, because Mercury is almost out of Pisces, but before Mercury leaves Pisces, we have a little bit more work to do to revise our concept so that it fits, okay? So that our concept of the blueprint fits what it is that we are trying to build, okay? They can't be incongruent. They have to match. Okay, our concept and our vision have to match. Our concept and our dream have to match, because if there's any inconsistencies, then it's not going to be able to be built well, and it's not going to be able to stand. Okay, and then we're going to end up with the same problems that we had previously that we're trying to now get rid of. Okay, and this is also another thing to note, which I also thought was kind of interesting, is that the moon's nodes slide back to 26 degrees just for a couple of days. Okay, so for the next 4 days, the moon's, or it is 5, so from Thursday until Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the moon's nodes will be back at 26. Okay, so it's almost like it's asking us, are you sure? Okay, it's like you got a taste of what it feels like to be like moving in the direction that you're ready to go in. Okay, and with the sun sextile Mars, you got to taste what it feels like. You're understanding what it is you're building. Okay. And the concept, like Mercury's slowing down. So our concept is, really, really kind of looming large in front of us. Okay. We're really thinking about it. As Mercury slows down, it becomes really powerful. It's got a lot of pull as it slows down. So our concept is very much kind of enveloping us. Okay. Because we're feeling it. Like I said, it's like the feeling mind. So we're feeling the thoughts of our concept of our blueprint. And it's almost like as the nodes slide back to 26, it's almost like, all right, now I'm going to give you a choice once again. The universe loves to give us choices because we have free will. This is the direction, right? Because this one is still slightly open. And I mean, only slightly. But I think this is more for folks that haven't quite let what needs to die. Okay? I feel like if we've really let what needs to go, this will not be a question. All right? But I think for those that are maybe still holding on a little bit, it's like the node slides back to be like, are you sure? Are you really sure you want to go down this particular road? Not that you won't still get to where you want to go, but it might not be the way that you want to do it. It might not be the most efficient way of going. Okay, let me just put it that way. So I just want to point that out as well. And then Friday, we've made it to the end of the week. So Friday, the moon is going to sextile the sun and Neptune. Okay, so the moon is in Capricorn. Once again, that's emotional boundaries. And the moon is going to sextile opportunity aspect. It's a pleasant invitation for growth. So the moon is going to sextile the sun, which is a consciousness of our blueprint, being, in the waters of Pisces, and Neptune, which is basically the ruler of Pisces. And I'm just saying it's kind of like the benevolent overseer who is like blessing everything that touches it. Okay. What I'm seeing with the moon sextile the sun is that, we're putting Pisces is boundless. Okay, Pisces has no boundaries. Okay, there are no boundaries in Pisces. Capricorn really likes boundaries. So I feel like the moon sextile the sun is kind of creating an emotional container. Okay, it's creating an emotional container for our dream. Okay, we've come this far, and the sun just got done talking to Mars about what it is that we're building and what it is that we have at our disposal to be able to invest in the building of this dream. Okay, that's what Mars and that's what Mars and the moon were talking about. Like, what resources that we have at our disposal to build the emotional framework. Okay, our emotional boundaries for this dream so that we don't get fucked. Okay, like basically, like we're not allowing that anymore because after the weekend we just had, no, I don't think the moon is really going to like that. So the moon's like, emotional boundaries, please. What do we have at our disposal to build with? So the moon is going to create a container, okay, on Friday. Like we're going to be talking to the sun, which is holding our blueprint, about the emotional container, the emotional structures that we want to put in place, our emotional boundaries that we want to put in place for our blueprint, as well as like understanding that we have expanded and liberated our emotional selves to a certain point where we can now begin to hold a structure emotionally for our dream. We can hold our dreams in our emotional being. Okay. So there's a twofold thing happening. And then the moon is going to meet with Neptune, who I said is like basically the benevolent overseer. Okay. And it's a sextile. Neptune, I feel like it's just like, it's an opportunity for Neptune to bless your project. Okay. It's an opportunity for Neptune to bless the plans for the emotional boundaries while making sure that we are still, Neptune values boundlessness. Okay. But Neptune also breaks the earth. Okay. Neptune puts his, like in mythology, he has a trident and he strikes his trident to the ground and the earth opens up. Okay. So Neptune can break your shit apart. Okay, so if there's anything where you are emotionally compartmentalizing, or trying to build your emotional structures too high so that you don't allow in what you need, Neptune is going to give you a pleasant invitation to open those structures up. Okay, and to allow yourself a little bit more wiggle room. Okay, that's what I feel like Neptune is going to do, and it's going to be like, I think we're going to feel a little bit of emotional, it's like kind of like a balm, okay? Just like a soothing balm to our emotional selves after this really, really incredibly rough week that we have had. It's like a little bit of emotional balm for our souls, okay? Because it's like the sun, it's like the moon is like kind of talking to our soul a bit. Okay, it's like the moon's talking to our soul. I'm like, yes, all right, I can open up a little bit more. I can open up a little bit more. Okay, this is the appropriate structure for my soul. Okay, and then the moon is going to conjunct Saturn, and that cannot feel good. So we'll have like this kind of like emotional, like sort of like dissolution of some boundaries. And perhaps they're boundaries that need to go. I didn't even like think about it from that space. But maybe, the moon will be sextiling the sun and talking about that's what's happening. Okay. So the moon will be sextiling the sun, talking about emotional boundaries. Okay. And what boundaries need to be in place. And then the moon will sextile Neptune. And Neptune's going to bless that project, yes, and also provide us with some balm, but it's going to dissolve. It's going to dissolve the old structures that were in place, the old emotional boundaries that were in place for us. And then the moon is going to conjunct Saturn. And that's going to be a fusion of energies, and we are going to understand, okay, perhaps in a very not so wonderful feeling way. It might feel a little hard, especially after coming off that contact with Neptune. We're going to understand what emotional structures that we do need to build. Okay, what emotional structures do we need to build so that we have the appropriate boundaries? Okay, so Neptune's going to dissolve some, and then we're going to understand what new ones need to come up. Okay, this could happen through an event. Okay, something that we bring our emotions down, and we kind of are off guard, or maybe we let our emotions open. Maybe this is like a good thing. It's a sextile. It's a pleasant invitation. So it could be something where it's like, oh, I can open up with you. I don't have to have these boundaries. And then the moon's going to conjunct Saturn, and then we could potentially, it could potentially be like a thing where we understand what needs to dissolve, what old boundaries need to go, and then what new boundaries need to come up in their place. And then Venus, my friends. Okay, so Venus is going to be, what am I trying to say? Venus is going to be squaring Uranus. Okay, so Venus this week has been talking a lot to the moon. Venus met up with Pluto over the weekend, and they talked about some stuff, and when they talked about some stuff, we were like, oh shit, like this is what gots to go. Okay, and I'm not even sure, I think I actually forgot to write that down because I was like, it's been in my mind for so long. But yeah, Venus and Pluto met I think Saturday while all that shit was going on emotionally. So yeah, Venus and Pluto met, and they are, basically when they met, it was like, on a deep core level, like that's your root. Like I said, Pluto is like the roots of your personal power, and Venus is like what we do, like what we want, like the personal power that we desire, the personal power that we want to attract and interact and relate with. Okay, so those two fused. Okay, so we got like really, really big intel about what it is that we really want, and at the root of it all, how it is that we want, like what empowers us. Okay, so we like being drawn down to the stories of disempowerment when Venus and Pluto meet, to be given the gift of empowerment and knowing exactly what it is that we want and who we are in that. Okay, who we are in relation. Venus is who we are, what we value, what we relate to. Okay, it's Venus rules the other, but it's the other as a reflection of us. Okay, does that make sense? It's the other as a reflection of who we are, what we're vibing out. Okay, so it's what we're attracting by how we feel about our own selves. Do we value ourselves? Are we really empowered? When we do those things, then we attract people, situations, circumstances, events, things that are empowering to us. Okay, so that's what Pluto and Venus are going to talk about when they get together over the weekend. Okay, they're going to talk about that. All right, so this weekend's going to be hard, y'all. Okay, it's going to be hard. Okay, we're going to get taken down. Okay, and we're going to understand who we are. Why, like the who is attracting what. Okay, because it's always like, oh, well, that thing came to me and like, oh, I don't know why. No, you're going to understand that it's you. Okay, it's you. You are Venus. You are the attractor. Okay, when you understand that you are the attractor, then you get real clear on what it is that you need to be in order to attract what reflects you back. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So now on the 1st, Venus, after meeting with Pluto and the South Node and the Moon, is now going to square Uranus. Okay, and now we know Uranus is in the final degrees of Aries, liberating us because that's what Uranus does, okay? And Uranus is going to square, so it's friction, okay? Something has got to go, all right? Now, Venus is, like I said, met with the Moon, and talked about reciprocity, talked about intimacy, okay? We talked about all of these things Venus has been talking to everyone about all these things. Okay, and Venus then met with Pluto and talked about Venus's role, okay, which is our role and what it is that we are attracting. Okay, and how what we attract is only a mirror of what we put out. Okay. And then Venus meets the South Node, where we're kind of going through, it's like replay of all the emotions, all the things. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're knowing this. And now Venus is going to square Uranus. So it could be a rub if we didn't get the lessons of like the last week. Okay. It could be a rub. It could not feel very good. Okay. But we're going to get a ping either way. And we're going to know that it's time to let shit go. Okay, we're going to understand that what it is, like who we need to be, who it is that we need to be, what empowerment needs to feel like for us, how we need to be empowered in order for what we want to manifest. Okay, so that's Venus squaring Uranus on Friday. And that, my friends, concludes this week's astrology. This is a lot. I feel like it's such a lot, and I really appreciate those who listen all the way through, and because it's so important. And I really, I've said this before throughout, that I really want everybody to understand the processes. Okay, I really want everyone to understand the processes and why I talk about each and every little, not each and every little, because there are lots of other aspects that are going on, but why I'm talking about the moon so much is because the moon in a chart, okay, it's our feelings. Okay, the moon is how we feel. It's like it's representative of our soul. It's representative of our unconscious. Okay, and with the moon, it's the only planet, it's the only heavenly body, okay, that circles around the entire zodiac in such a short amount of time. Okay, so what that says is that your soul is going on a journey, okay, every 28 days, and your soul is checking up. Okay, I look at the moon as the moon is it rules Cancer, which is the mother. Okay, so it's like your mother going into every room in the house to check on every single person in the house to make sure that they are okay. Okay, and relaying messages. And so that's basically what the moon is doing for us. So that's why it's I go through each stage of the moon, because these are our feelings. It's how we're feeling. Okay, and our feelings are helping us to evolve, because each one of these moon cycles is a cycle of evolution. It's a tiny cycle of evolution within larger cycles of evolution. But these are the tiny steps that we take every day. Okay, evolution is this big grand picture, but the moon is the steps every day that we take in that evolution, and how that evolution affects each one of our planets. So as the cycles go through, the moon is touching something in our chart every month, so that we understand where we are and what choices that we need to make for our evolution. Okay, so that's why these take so long sometimes, because the moon is really active right now, and it's very, very important for this particular wrap up and beginning of a new cycle, that I want everybody to really understand, why you're feeling what you're feeling, and to, like I said, surrender. So this week's tarot is the 10 of Cups. And the 10 of Cups is a card of like deep happiness. Okay, it's like deep, deep happiness. It's like emotional fulfillment. Okay, that's really the word I'm looking for. It's emotional fulfillment. Tens in the tarot are the ending of a cycle of growth, and simultaneously the start of a new cycle of growth. So we are ending an emotional cycle, which is also why this week's, like the last 2 weeks especially, the astro's been so intense, because the moon is ending a cycle of development. Okay, every time the moon does something with Uranus throughout the chart, it's ending a cycle of development, ending a cycle of development, ending a cycle of development, and pointing us in a new direction, especially since the north node of the moon is in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. So the moon's actions are super, super, super important right now, okay, because the moon is our track to evolution for the next 14 months, okay? So we're ending a cycle of emotional development right now. And so it's a culmination and kind of like a time to celebrate, but also a time to get to work. So when we have a culminating energy, something is leaving and something else is coming in. We haven't quite seen what's coming in yet. However, okay, this is what I was saying earlier about the sun sextile Mars for the entire week from Monday basically through Friday, is that the 10 of Cups is a cup of Mars in Pisces. Okay, and while Mars is not in Pisces right now, Mars is in Taurus, but Mars is talking to the sun in Pisces, so it's kind of the same energy. Okay, this is putting work to your dreams. Okay, like we can emotionally evolve, but in order for this evolution to keep going, we need to now work. We need to now put in the work, put in the effort, align our will with our dreams, align our actions to fulfill our dreams. This is the card of dream fulfillment, okay? But we need to take action in that direction. And that is what, with all the turmoil of the moon this week, that is the one through line, is taking action on our dreams, taking action to build, understanding that we are building something and moving in the direction of what is new, moving in the direction of what wants to come as opposed to what wants to go. Okay, so that's the 10 of Cups for the week. And I wanted to just really let you all know that. And on that note, I believe that this podcast is finally complete. I just want to thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in and for, staying for so long. If anyone is interested in any of the work that I do, whether it be body work, astrology, tarot, please visit my website, elementsofalchemy.com. You can also find me on Instagram at elementsofalchemy. And don't forget about the Pisces season playlist available on Spotify. Just check out Elements of Alchemy and it'll come up. And I love you all so much. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for sharing, liking, sending me notes of encouragement, and, just telling me, what this is doing for you. This makes it all worthwhile. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.